Now, I'm sure if you're watching this video, you are definitely a fan of the Batman Arkham games, or at least you're interested in them in some capacity. However, I do have some concerns coming into this game, not really based off anything I've seen in terms of trailers or anything like that, but it's more just, maybe it's more personal fears and everything, based on my own recent gaming experiences. However, I've been recently thinking of the question of what happens if Batman Arkham Shadow does fail? What happens if it is another bad game in the Batman Arkham universe? And when I say another bad game, for those of you who don't know, the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was technically, it was in the Batman universe. It was considered canon, or maybe it's not. I don't even know anymore, to be honest. Everything is kind of confusing in terms of what's canon and what's not. Honestly, I don't really care. I just want a good quality game, something that we've been lacking recently. In the last couple years, I haven't really found a really good story game that I can really just sit down and enjoy playing. I have to revert back to games that I've kind of already played. There hasn't really been anything new that's really captured my interest and made me really want to play that specific game. However, to be fair and to be completely objective, I didn't think that Suicide Squad was a god-awful game. That game did have good qualities about it. Good graphics, good world design, decent enough combat. I really did enjoy the boss fights in that game. That game did have good qualities. However, the good qualities that that game may have had was completely overshadowed by complete boring story in a lot of people's opinions when it came to that game. So we really need something good coming to this, and there's a lot of pressure to develop a good game. However, there is another issue that we do have here, and that is the fact that Batman Arkham Shadow is going to be exclusively on the Meta Quest 3, so this is going to be a VR game, and I don't know how this is going to look. And I know that there's a question going around, am I going to be playing this game? And let's just say I'm currently trying to figure out how I can go about that. There is something in the works. If I can get my hands on MetaQuest 3, I will absolutely live stream that on this channel because I want to give you guys everything. Even if it costs me money, I don't care. I want to make you guys happy, and I want to give you guys the best possible quality content that a lot of YouTubers, in my opinion, do seem to lack. And I'm not trying to call anybody out specifically. I just think that a lot of people are just willing to do whatever it takes to get views without having to give good quality content. Now, I am getting a bit off track here, but there is a question that does seriously need to be asked of what happens if this game flops? Is it going to ruin the Batman Arkham series for people? Now, in my personal opinion, I'm always going to love the Batman Arkham quadrilogy we have because I do consider Batman Arkham Origins as part of the Batman Arkham franchise, as should all of you. I don't understand why that game gets any hate to this day, but I understand people are going to like what they're going to like. But out of these 4 games, these are all fantastic games that we can really sit down and enjoy. And even if this game is bad, it doesn't ruin that entire franchise for me, because if that was the case, then Suicide Squad probably would have ruined these games for me. Nothing's going to ruin these specific games for me, because when they were released, they were fantastic, and these games on their own are still fantastic, even if I look outside of that. Would I have made Rat King the villain of Batman Arkham Shadow? No, probably not. However, I do kind of appreciate the effort to go out of the way to make it something that is not the Joker. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. I don't want to sound pessimistic, I believe, if that's the right word. But I don't have super high hopes for this game. Even it's not just because it's a VR game. A VR game on its own isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, I just have concerns when it comes to the overall quality of the content of the games themselves. Because in recent years, the gaming quality for single-player games has gone completely downhill, and it's become all about battle passes and making extra money rather than giving a good quality story for players to experience. And I've talked about this before in a video where I said that battle passes have ruined gaming, and it's absolutely true. I stand by that. You're not going to change my opinion on that, right? But even though battle passes for the most part have completely corrupted gaming, I do still think that there is hope for the gaming industry to bring in some good quality stories. I know that they're out there to be written. I know that this good stories can be told. I just want to see it happen. And honestly, I do think that a VR game with Batman can be a very cool concept in theory. I'm very interested to see how the combat's going to look out. You know, and the overall story is not so much of a concern for me. It's going to be more in the gameplay itself. I have no idea if it's first person or third person. I'm going to be honest. Haven't really seen much about this game whatsoever. So I don't have any information on that. And also, not just the main story, but what are the side missions going to look like, if there even are any? Because VR games, in my opinion, when it comes to story mode games, a lot of times aren't extremely thorough when it comes to the actual story. It's just very, narrow, and that's it. But if it's going to be open world and everything, I'm very curious to see what the DLCs are going to look like, what the overall side missions are going to look like. And honestly, if I'm about to be putting hundreds of dollars into this freaking console, and it turns out to be completely trash, then yes, I'm going to be very, very upset, and I'm going to have a massive bone to pick. So the overall question becomes, what happens if Batman Arkham Shadow fails? Because that is kind of the point of this video, right? Well, there is going to be a couple different issues here that happens if this game flops. First of all, people are probably never going to buy a Rocksteady or WB Games Montreal game again. And honestly, I cannot blame them. After continuous crap efforts, and when I say continuous, that's in the event that Batman Arkham Shadow flops, in terms of talking about Suicide Squad, as well as this Batman Arkham Shadow game. If both these games do flop, people are not going to want to buy these games anymore from Rocksteady or WB, simply due to the fact that people are going to be tired of getting crapped on all the time by these guys, just milking the Batman Arkham universe for money. Because the Batman Arkham universe once did mean something. When Batman Arkham Asylum, City, and even Origins came out, the overall franchise was looked at in a very good light as the best superhero games to ever exist. And to this day, this quadrilogy is still the best set of superhero games to ever exist, in my opinion, alongside of Spider-Man. They're both very good. So not only are people going to not want to buy a game from Rocksteady or WB ever again, it's also going to cause issues with the overall Batman Arkham franchise, and people are going to have a sour taste in their mouth towards these games. Now, I'm going to take this a step further, and this is just a theory, so don't take what I say here 100% seriously. However, in the event that the game does fail, completely flops, I do have something here to support this theory as well. Rocksteady or WB Games, or even both, could potentially even see a shutdown as a whole. Now, the only thing I really do have to support this theory is the fact that Rocksteady is looking to branch out and allow other developers to use their big names, like such as Batman, to create other games. Now, does that really say a whole lot that they could shut down? Potentially, if the company starts to become bankrupt and they want to cut their losses and potentially just move on as a whole. They want to try to make money off of these characters and then bounce out while they still have any sort of money before they go entirely bankrupt. That's the whole theory I have. Is it a very strong argument? Maybe not, but I'm just saying it is a realistic possibility that we do have to consider. And that if Rocksteady or WB or both are eventually going to shut down or something like that, then what's going to happen with the character of Batman? This goes much deeper than just Batman Arkham Shadow, or at least could. What happens if we never get to see another good Batman superhero game again? Honestly, it is a possibility, and it is something that we need to consider. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. I just want to give a big shout out to those of you who do support this channel. I do very much appreciate every single one of you. And if you want to become a member today, click the join button right underneath this video. That does entail shout outs at the end of each video, early access to new videos, as well as your own personal videos that nobody else gets access to besides you. So if you want to join, make sure to click the join button today. As well as if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe for more content, and as always, thank you so much for everything, guys. I do appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you all have an amazing day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!